Okay. All right. So to start, I just want to thank Celia Carey for joining our class. Normally you join in person, which is really exciting because you get to give a live demo. We get to have students try it, which we'll probably talk about at some point during our discussion. But today you've agreed to join virtually, which is awesome. So Celia owns Rock Pole Fitness, which I think you've owned for a year. It's like a year and a half now. How long has it been?
Since September 2019.
Oh,
So,
okay. So yeah. So all right. So about almost 2 years then. So year and a half, 2 years. Celia graduated from Brockport with a degree in exercise science and kinesiology.
yeah.
And then also I met Celia. There's a program at Brockport where you could get a personal trainer for free, which was amazing. And I got to work with Celia, which is great. My first semester at Brockport. And then also interesting for your background is you served in the military for like 30
So,
years. Yeah,
yeah.
which another incredible incredible part of your story. So we're just gonna get right into it. So the students sent me a bunch of questions. We've got about 50 minutes, so we'll just work through whatever we can get through. So first question I'm curious about, how did you get interested in pole dancing? Where were you in your life? How did you get this idea that this is something that you wanted to try? Like just what happened?
Okay, so in 2006, I was on active duty status, and I was stationed at Fort Totten, like New York City. And I saw a performance of Felix Kane. It was the second annual Miss Pole Dance Australia competition, and she won. And her routine was just phenomenal. She has a ballet background, and like I didn't know anything about pole really. I didn't know anything about the stripper role, any of that stuff. I just saw this incredible dancer doing really cool, like otherworldly tricks on this pole. I thought, wow, I need to try that. So it took 7 years because from there I went to Iraq, and then when I finally got home, so it took 7 years before I was able to actually take formal classes. But 2006, Felix came. That's
Did you
how I
did
started.
you see that on TV or were you searching online or how did you find it?
A random email with her video just popped out of nowhere.
Oh
Yeah, I had
wow.
no idea it was a thing.
So it was 2006 that you saw it. You took a class 7 years later in 2013. Did you like try any of it yourself in that time between? Because I'm always it reminds me of like when you're a kid and you see a basketball game, and you just go out in the backyard and you get to take a few shots or like imitate what you see. Like
Well,
was it stuck in your head or?
yeah, when I was stationed in Africa, Djibouti, Africa, I was there for 3 years actually. So the post office was outside, and they had poles, and it was like about 50 millimeters. They were really thick poles. So at night, like 10:30 at night, I would go to the gym. I'd grab a couple mats, and they had my routine, so they knew when they saw me, they handed me the mats. Then I'll go over to the post office. So for 30 minutes, like I warm and all that, then for 30 minutes, I would practice on my own. And I didn't know anything. So I'll do like strength drills, pull-ups and leg lifts, and try to learn spins and stuff like that. But at night, by myself in Africa with mosquitoes eating at me, that's how I got my strength built up. So when I came home, I already had my strength. I just had to learn my tricks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
wondering if there's still some security camera footage anywhere of you
I
trying
know,
that
right?
trying those routines. So you all right, so you started in 2013. You got back, you were done with your time in the military. You got back, you started taking classes. So now you've been doing it for about 8 years or
Yeah,
so?
so I got back, and then in 2013, 4 months in, I had a freakish fall at home, and I ruptured my patellar tendon. So I was out for a year, but I would go to class with my leg in the brace, the long brace for the leg. And I was sitting in class with my leg up and watch class. It's like I just couldn't get away from pole. So once I started, I was like had mobility again in the leg. I literally had to start over because like my muscle just totally atrophied. But yeah, once I got started, I was hooked the whole time.
And you've never considered stopping in that time. Once you were hooked, you've just been this was a path that you're on.
Yeah, the time when I felt like almost lost my love for it, it wasn't because of the sport. It was because of my teacher. My teacher was very toxic, and it's like you're killing something I love. I have to get away. So once I got away and I went to another studio, then I was able to just flourish from there.
Oh, that's kind of interesting. So the none of the students asked questions specifically about this, but I'm interested in thinking about the role as an instructor, and we'll get to the business a little bit later. But like, what are the qualities that you've appreciated in instructors that you've connected with, and what are the qualities that kind of turn you off from the whole activity?
the key with a good instructor, and I try to implement that here in the studio, like the climate I have in the studio, that's a leadership issue. Okay, so the climate I have here, my tagline is every body welcome, and body is all in caps. So not just the shape of the body, male, female, trans, I don't care. If you have a soul, you're welcomed here. No body shaming is allowed here, no mean girls, none of that stuff. It's all positive, very encouraging. So it's an atmosphere, it's a great atmosphere of learning. And that's how I thrive. Where I came from, it was just very toxic, and there are issues I don't want to get into, but like the teacher can't be the center of attention. You have to be willing as a teacher for your student to be better than you. You have to be happy about that. And I think that's very important. So I'm at the point in my life, I'm 56. I can't wrap myself around in a pretzel anymore. So if you can't do, you teach. And when your student, like when they do great things, you cheer them on because you want them to represent you. Because people are going to ask, so who do you learn from? I want my proud mama moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's very important. So an atmosphere that just highly encourages students being their best. That's very important. And the teacher sets that tone. Okay, because and that's my secret sauce for the studio. That's another reason why students keep renewing their memberships, is because it's that atmosphere that grabs them and keeps them, because it's so positive and encouraging. I mean, who doesn't want to be a part of that?
Yeah, that overlaps with so much of what I've seen in my own research on mixed martial arts, where there's some gyms where it's very much based on hierarchy, and the top people, whether it's the instructor or just the top athletes, get all the attention, and everyone
Yeah.
else is supposed to almost treat them with a great deal of respect and almost subservience. And then you have other
Yeah.
gyms where it's like, no, we're all going to be at different levels, but this is a community, and who cares? And and those are the spaces where people thrive and do better.
Ding, ding, ding. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. Yeah.
So a lot of the questions that students had, which probably isn't surprising, is questions just about the stigma attached to pole dancing, because not everyone's familiar with it. When I told students, the second week of Sport and Society, we're going to read an article on pole dancing, we're going to get to have someone talk to us about this activity. People have so many different associations with it, and I'm curious if have you encountered that negative stigma at all? Like when you first told people, when you're in the military getting home, I'm obsessed with pole dancing now. Like, did you get a reaction? What did people say?
I got from some people just mean as could be, you're a whore, this, just horrible, horrible thing, because that's all they assume, right?
Yeah.
And other people, like, I did not know that was a thing. So you get one extreme to the other. But with pole, like there was a time in the pole community where I'm not a stripper, that was a big thing. But we also had to remember pole, although it may have started in the clubs, they're the founders of it, and it grew from there. So we have to show respect, to those women, and we also need to let people understand that stripping, dancing, whatever in the club, it's a job. Okay, there's supply and demand. There's a demand, men, they're willing to pay money for something, and then there's someone who's willing to give them what they want. Right? So how can you ask for something, be willing to pay for it, and then shame the person who gave you what you wanted? That's not fair. And it's like any other job. Girls go to work, they come home, they pay their rent, pay their car notes, feed their families. I know many former dancers with master's degrees, they use that to pay their way through school, and they graduated with zero education debt. Once they got their degree, they were done. It was over. They may open studios, coach, whatever, but it's like any other job. So when people ask me, I've never stripped in my life, but I've matured, and I'm not, I'm a good girl, I've never stripped. No, it's like, I'm part of the community, and the community is a whole, not stripper, athlete, it doesn't matter. And people need to also understand children whole. Okay, so one of the questions someone asked was, across the world, how it is, and so on November 17th of November 2017, the Great Association of International Sports Federation, they declared pole as a sport. Okay, so, and that's like one of the steps. It's to becoming an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
So once that happens, first that was vindication, but not everyone is woke, right? But once it becomes an Olympic sport, it'll really be vindication. And once they see those children, because those are the ones who are going to be competing, children, okay, then we'll really, we'll have some respect. And the countries that's going to dominate will be Russia and Ukraine, because they train them from knee high to a grasshopper.
Okay, so it's a lot of Eastern European countries where, like, if you're thinking about the tradition of who's the best competitors are.
Yeah,
Okay.
because with pole, it's gymnastics. They have different styles. They have, the clubs and all that stuff. They have different styles. Sport pole, contemporary dance. We have polers who tango. So whatever, this is what you're limited by your creativity. Bottom line is what it is. So with these children, it's gymnastics. Traditional gymnastics, their pole is like that, right? Ours is like that.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of which pole they're using. That's literally all it is.
Yeah. So I want to get back. I want to return to this idea of how the competitions work and thinking about training for that. But
Mhm.
I really like one of the things that you said in your response to the question about, do people have a negative reaction? Because one way that you could respond, like you're pointing out, is simply to say, "Oh no, I'm not a stripper. This is a sport. I don't do that thing," which is great, but then it effectively reproduces that shame for people who are doing it because they're
That-
embracing sexuality or they're doing it as a job. So I like that your response is very much, we're all part of the same community and we're doing it for different reasons, but you can't use me to shame those other people. And like, if I were someone who also used it for stripping, that doesn't make me less of an athlete.
that-
Um, so that is actually the root of the sport, right? It's coming from that club scene.
yeah.
Yeah. So I
And
guess.
they have like in Chinese pole, like you see in
Mhm.
Cirque du Soleil, you see that. India, they have Malakam, so there are different versions of pole. But for the United States, it comes from club background. So that's
Yeah.
just where it was born.
So another student wanted to know, this relates to the last question, but what's the most bizarre reaction you've had from someone when you've told them that you were into this activity? Have you ever
Oh,
had one that's on the, like, not just mean, but actually like on the funnier side?
funnier side. Oh, your husband must be really happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Funny for Christmas. Because I have a pole room. I have a 4-bedroom house.
Mhm.
So how many beds do you need? So I made one a pole room. So my husband for his Christmas party says, okay, dance for me. And I was so nervous. I'm like, oh my God, it's not like I never touched a pole before, but I
Yeah.
was so nervous. So people think all day it's boom, boom, boom. It's not.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was hilarious. My own husband, I couldn't even answer him because I was so nervous.
Did you know him were you with him when you were back in the military when you first discovered it, or did you meet him later
We
on?
met in Africa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of followed you through this whole journey of something that you
Oh
were
yeah.
curious about towards now you have a business around it.
Mhm.
Um, so thinking about the training itself, what's required to be good at this? Like, what type of strength do you need? What are the key things to focus on?
Okay. So first off, International Pole Sport Federation, they're the governing body of pole, and they started what about 3 or so years ago. Now they have a category called para pole. So they're polers in wheelchairs, polers with missing leg, missing arm. They actually saw a pole with no arms. She just does leg stuff. I'm like, oh my God, it's amazing. But there's a para pole category. So anyone can pole.
Wow.
Anyone can
Yeah.
pole. But if you are an able-bodied person,
Mhm.
we do a lot of pulling ourselves up. So you have the force of gravity, which is constant. Whatever your body weight is, you have to be able to pull yourself up. So upper body strength is just, and the thing is, it will happen because it has to happen. Okay, so upper body strength, core strength, and like sitting on the pole, stuff like that. It's going to burn. But it's called peripheral desensitization. It's going to hurt a lot, like someone's like scratching with a knife. But you have to build that resistance. There's no shortcut to it. So upper body strength, core strength, and you don't have to have a gymnastic background, dance background, anything like that. your limitation is just based on your own creativity. Okay, there are people who came from nothing, they're incredible. There are people who come from gymnastics, whatever. It's a little easier for them because they already have a lot of body awareness, which is important. Because it's funny, like when I have new students, I'll say, okay, turn to your right. No, you're right. No, you're other right. And it happens every time. It
Yeah.
happens every time. So you have to get body awareness, and you're learning choreographies and combos. So it's not only your physical body that gets exercised, this gets exercised too. So I say this is the fountain of youth because as you get older, you lose muscle mass and all that. This keeps it up because, you know, maintain your strength, and this gets exercised as well. So you're always challenging yourself, learning something new.
In terms of, so you talked a lot about the strength, and you mentioned that flexibility can help a bit. Like what type of flexibility? Is it more flexibility in your shoulders and arms, or is it just any flexibility is great for this?
Shoulder and hip is very important because when you start doing stuff where you have to twist around, you want to open your shoulder. And I teach a flexibility mobility class. So it's not just a class where you sit in a split for an hour. We do a lot of mobility drills and a lot of active flexibility drills. So when you see people just standing and just lifting their leg, that takes a lot of strength. You know, need a lot of glute strength and stuff like that. Your hip flexors need to be strong, your quads need to be strong. So the flexibility can make some moves easier because there are different types of polars. They're the flexi polars. They can just wrap themselves around. Everything's easy for them. They're the tricksters, people who can just do all kind of cool tricks and stuff. There are those who are more artistic, contemporary dance, tango, modern, you know, and there's exotic pole. And our type exotic is Russian exotic, which is more athletic. And I just love the flow of it. You know, they have, of course, the club type. That's like more of a sexual type. And of course, the showgirl, you know, so there are different styles of exotic. So we have we try to cover all the different forms because you don't know what people's jam is going to end up being. You know, someone may just gravitate to something. So we want to make sure we offer them everything.
Do you have a lot of turnover in the site? And I thought it was a really good question the student was asking because they're basically getting at it's not easy, right? So it looks really cool, and you see a performance, and you're like, I want to try that, and then you get in there, and it takes a lot of strength to lift yourself up the first time, and you're not immediately doing all those cool looking tricks. Do people drop out often in the first few weeks, or is it like what experience have you had owning, especially owning
So
the business?
once they get a membership, they're pretty much locked because they've committed. The
Hmm.
turnover comes in the intro workshop because I have an intro workshop every Friday. So people come in. Remember JLo's movie that came out, which is
Oh
called
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
What was the
Man.
name of that? And like Cardi B was in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I use that for my marketing because everyone wanted to dance like JLo. They
yeah.
came to the intro workshop. It's like, wait, this
It's
actually
actually
takes.
really hard. Yeah,
So that's where I get my turnover
yeah.
is the intro workshop. So I don't, and there's a strategy behind it. I want people to understand what it takes, you know, because I don't want people to sign up and then quit because I don't want to have the reputation that you're going to quit as soon as you sign up. Come see for yourself, make the decision. Am I willing to do the work? Or let me try something that I don't have to, you know, work as hard. But if you want the results, you have to put in the work. So once my students commit to the membership, they're in. They're in. The turnover is during the intro when they come for the first time and they see, you know, real life. Okay, this is something that is not easy.
So you basically build the possibility quitting into the business model. So you're giving the work, is the workshop usually free? Like you give demos
Now,
or people? Oh no, it isn't. Okay.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So like old school thinking, try it for free, see what you think.
Yeah.
I can make a dime.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I
Yeah.
want to qualify my students. So, you know, you shelling out money, one, you want to show up,
Hmm.
right? If you just reserve a spot and it didn't cost you anything, the
You might
chance
not
of,
yeah, you might not even show up. Yeah.
yeah. So if you pay, most likely you'll show up. And like there's like psychology behind it. You're starting to commit. You're
Yeah.
committed financially. you physically came in, you're trying it. So I don't offer free anything. Never, ever, ever. So one of the points I'm trying to make is there's psychology behind it. You have to.
So even that first payment becomes the incentive for them to keep going and make it to the next.
Exactly.
So they have like a demo week or class or week that they pay for, and then they have a choice of actually committing to longer term, and then they lock into the contract.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of people who lock into the contract and then stop? Because again, I'm just so curious because it is such a difficult. It's not easy, right? So is
Yeah.
that part of it? People might end up realizing maybe this isn't for me along the way, or
People do it, and the thing is, the membership is auto pay,
okay.
and you can't. Okay, I quit. No, you signed a contract, so you have to finish it out. But I do have some. They'll come for a couple months, then I never see them again. But sometimes things happen. They get sick, whatever. Things happen. But there's some who are just like not gonna do it.
Yeah,
So,
and on the positive side, thinking about the opposite aspect, sometimes that knowing that you're committed and locked in will make you go that next week when it would have been a lot easier to quit. And then a month later, you look back and say, well, I'm glad that incentive carried me through that. Which at that moment, I'm sure that's not what you're thinking. You're like, I wish I could get out of this contract. But there are times where you need that. You need to find some sort of motivation to get
yeah,
past because there's like those plateaus that you have to overcome with the
exactly, and
training.
that's part of the psychology behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long does it take? So that going along with motivation and the challenges of continuing on, how long does it take to learn a skill? I mean, I'm guessing it depends on the type of skill that you're learning. But if say there's this new move that you want to do, like how long do you really have to work on it before you can start to incorporate that into your routine or feel like you have it down?
So it depends what it is. So anything that requires you to go upside down, okay, that's hard because it's especially like remember the handspring when I'm just holding myself like this and I'm upside down holding.
Mhm.
That takes a lot because it's core, your obliques, the fear of hanging upside down where your head is facing the ground, and it's all on you to hold yourself in that position. So some moves, some people can get right away because you're strong. Like with men, you already have upper body strength to begin with. So when a young man asks, teach me how to do a handspring, they'll learn it quicker than a female because men already have that upper body strength. Women aren't encouraged to lift their own body weight. We aren't encouraged to do pull-ups and push-ups and things like that. But men, that's what you do, right? Women have strong abdominals and strong legs, but the men upper body, for them, that's your advantage. So it depends on the move. So if it's a tricks move, some people learn the first time, some people take a few weeks. Handsprings, some girls, they tell me, yeah, it took me 3 years to learn a handspring. So it really depends. It's hard to say. But if someone has a gymnastics background, they know where their body is in space. One, they already have an upper body strength. So for them, they just need to learn the mechanics of a pole like this. Once they learn the mechanics and how to engage, push, pull, and all that stuff, they'll learn it quicker because they already have that strength base.
Yeah, so the workout history of each person really shapes what
Yeah.
they can and can't do.
Yeah.
What type of tricks do you learn or enjoy learning the most?
I love like acrobatic stuff, cartwheels and flips and handstands, and I love holding
Like
myself
onto the pole or while you're on the pole?
onto the pole,
Yeah.
and while on the pole as well. And I love holding myself with open hands like this. It's called the open grip. I don't know. I just feel more secure, And then there's also a twisted grip version, but I like holding myself with two hands. I like how it feels because as a 56-year-old woman, just actually being able to do that is pretty badass. And I'm just proud of myself having that strength. And the one thing I fear losing more than anything is losing my strength. I love feeling strong because I love being able to count on myself to do what I want my body to do. I don't know did that make sense how I said it?
Yeah, definitely. So
Okay.
yeah. And so that those tricks that are so strength based, and it's in a sense those are the most empowering ones because it's a reminder of
Yeah.
like what your body can actually do.
Yeah. I want to be 70 being able to do those things. I mean, that's my goal.
Are there people like looking around at people who compete and practice? Are there people in their 70s who are still doing these type of
I've
tricks that
seen a 73-year-old, 73, doing this stuff, doing advanced level tricks.
wow.
So as long as you just stay with it, yeah, you'll get there and keep it for the rest of your life, which is awesome.
Have you ever been injured while competing or training?
I don't know if you can see it,
So it's
but
show and tell.
yeah, it's here. I
Wow.
was doing the cartwheel and it's like it got to the bone. You know what I mean? So it took, oh man, it took forever to heal. So I've crashed into the pole, I've fallen, people have fallen. I mean, things happen. So yeah, I've had my share of injuries. And mostly for me, it's joint stuff, joint injuries. Because people ask, why do you dress the way you dress? We need skin to grip the pole. Grip is very important. So if your pole is slick, especially when you're hanging on with your hands, you have to really grip hard, and then you put stress on your epicondyles, right? So they have the tennis elbow, golfer's elbow, okay?
Mhm.
So if your grip is good, you don't have to overcompensate. So you're not gonna hurt this part of your joint. So I've done that a lot until I learned, because of what I learned from Brockport.
Yeah.
You have to be sure with your grip, and that helps to prevent injuries.
How is your background, especially while we're on this topic of training, how has your background in exercise science influenced you both in the way that you train and think about learning these techniques, but also you're someone who teaches. So how has your background in exercise science affected the way you see that?
Well, the science behind, and that's why I got a degree in exercise science and kinesiology. I wanted to understand the science of movement, okay, and
So you
why.
already knew the direction you were going, and then the exercise science degree that was like building the okay.
Exactly. Because I tell my students, especially when they're learning something new, because they get frustrated, you can see they're just so defeated. And I said, let your brain marinate on it. And then I get into, the nervous system has to do this, and then the muscle fibers, each time the brain tells more muscle fibers to be active, So I explain the science behind it. And then once they understand, and then the next time they come to class, they find that the move is easier. It's like, yeah, you have to let your brain figure it out. Let the body do what it do. And this allows for less frustration, and because they know what's coming. Okay, because they see it week after week, they know what's coming. So if you understand that, and then just like the physics of it, Newton's laws of physics, when you're pulling yourself up, you need to pull down on the pole to get up. So explaining those basic things, and they understand it, they can like apply it, and it just makes more sense when I'm trying to explain something.
Let's talk a little bit about the competitions themselves because you've mentioned it a little bit, but I'm guessing most people don't know how they actually work. So how does a pole competition work? Like,
Okay.
what do you do? What type of judging takes place? Any aspects of it.
Okay, so I've competed 3 times in PSO, Pole Sport Organization. They're different organizations, Pole Championship Series, IPSF, they're different ones. So all competitions have 2 poles. One is a static pole, and one, the pole spins, okay? So depending on organization, with PSO, you have to spin continuously for 30 solid seconds. And for some people, it's like, but you have to show proficiency for 30 seconds with the pole spinning. And things like 9 feet between poles. So you have to show proficiency on the static pole. You have to do floor work between, and then proficiency on the static pole. So I have one of the score sheets here. So your stage presence is important. So your costuming, that has to be taken seriously. Your hair, your makeup, everything. You can't just go there, just okay, I'll just wing it. You have to be deliberate in what you're presenting. The quality of execution, so pointing your toes, no micro bends in your knees, like you'll get points taken off of that. In Pole Championship Series, they actually have a category for strength and a flexibility category. And IPSF, they have a flexibility category where if you're below the age of 40, you have to be 180. But if you're 40 and above, they give you a 20%, what's it called, handicap.
Oh, okay.
So it depends on age. And yeah, flow and fluidity, the uniqueness of performance, because they want to see creativity. They don't just want to see the basic stuff that you learn in class. How else can you get into a movie? Try to be as creative as possible. And the poles are 12 feet high, and they're 45 millimeters. So they want you to show not only low stuff, they want you to do stuff 12 feet in the air as well. You have to show the entire length of the pole. Yeah. So
which is pretty hot, intimidating to be that high up while especially if you're doing some sort of inverted trick.
Yeah, and you're doing a spin up there too. So when I first started, the height, that's terrifying. I would sweat because you're nervous. It's like, okay, sweat and pole does not go. But once you have your strength and you get proficient in your tricks, you don't sweat anymore. And I find for every new poler, that's exactly what happens. There's a lot of sweating that goes on, but it's a lot of fun. So now with the quarantine, the PSO, the competitions have been virtual. So we've had an instructor, it was during quarantine. She won her category. It was an artistic category, which was cool. So we have instructed that one. And about 2 months ago, we had a student who won her category. She was level 2. So the different levels, this way you can't have someone like me doing a level 1 competition. You know what I mean? I do championship. So like level 1, no inversions are allowed. Level 2, you can have 3 points of contact. Once you get into championship, 2 points of contact. So you can move up, but you can never come down.
Okay.
This way, there's a word for it, like a pool shark. We don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are the judges? Are the judges usually people who have done this in the past, or like who are the judges?
Yeah, judges. A lot for PSO. A lot of the judges are former champions. They've done pole. So to have someone's husband George, no, this is not how it works.
Yeah.
And IPSF, they have to go through a 10,000-hour training for judging. So International Pole Sport Federation, and they have like continuing education, stuff like that. So IPSF is like, their standard is very strict. And you don't have to have a pole background, but you have to be able to train and know how to, for example, there's a technical point you can get, like doing a spin on static pole. You have to do at minimum 2 revolutions around, and you have to be able to see where it finishes and ends before you can give the point. So it's very, the training for IPSF, very strict, and thousands of hours of training for you to be an IPSF judge.
Where do the competition, like obviously before COVID, but where would the competitions take place? Would it be as part of other big events, or would it be just that there would be a pole event and people from around the country would come to that thing?
Yeah, sometimes like the International Pole Convention, every year it's somewhere else, and there's usually a competition associated with it, which is really cool. And PSO, it's separate. This is where it is, all over the country. So the International Pole Convention, and there's Pole Expo in Vegas every year. They had a competition. So it's all over. It's all over.
Mm-hmm. Did you, I'm trying to remember, I might be making this up in my mind, but I remember you went to, what's the big expo that takes place in, I think somewhere in Ohio, Arnold's Expo? Like what is the big?
Yeah, that's Pole Championship Series. Yep.
Oh, okay. So that's where that happened. Okay. What are some of the tournament performances? Do you have specific ones that you were proud of when you competed, or are there like good memories that you have from your competition?
Yeah. So the PSO. So for depending on the organization, like Pole Sport organization, it's maximum 4 minutes and 10 seconds, and it depends on the level. Like once you like championship and all that, level 5 and all that, you can get more time. So the Arnold is 2 minutes and it's 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes 30 seconds. So you better like have your best game, because you only have 2.5 minutes to see what you can do. So I was very proud of myself, because I'm not a spin girl. I don't like spin.
Why not?
The first 3 years I had to take a Dramamine before every class.
Oh.
So it's not,
yeah.
It's not my thing. And some girls, they love to spin. They can do the entire 4 minutes on spin. Some people, they have their jam. That's their thing. So I was proud of myself, because I did my own choreography, and I came in fourth. I lost by 0.75, so lost by like 3/4 of a point, to get into the top three. But I did a great job, and I was very proud of it. And I was in. They didn't have PSO has Grandmaster category for people 50 and above. So Master is 40 and above, Grandmaster 50 and above, and of course below 40 they have different categories. So they didn't have enough people to have a Grandmaster, so they put me in with the Masters. So here I am in my mid 50s competing against 40 somethings, people 10 years my junior, and I still did a good job. So I was very proud of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big deal for me.
Let's talk a little bit about the business itself. So
Mhm.
what inspired you to open your own business? Because obviously you cared about this a lot and you were devoting yourself to training in it and competing, but what made you want to take the jump? Because it's a pretty scary thing to actually be responsible for your own business. So how did you decide to do that?
So my husband kept pushing me because he saw how much I loved it. Like every year I would go to Pole summer camp in St. Martin, and it's a week of just train. It's just awesome. So he said, why don't you open your own? It's like, well, I'm in school, I have to finish, but I just wanted to share what I learned from pole, not only like doing tricks and stuff like that, but the energy of it, the community of it. I wanted to have my version of that and to spread that love. That's what I wanted. Because we have students coming from Syracuse, from Binghamton, from Buffalo. People will drive to our studio, which is awesome. And for someone willing to do that, we have to must be doing something right, So my motivation was to just share my love for pole, because it's my fountain of youth. I literally think it's the fountain of youth.
What was the most challenging part of opening your own business?
The space we found has been here forever. It used to be a grocery store, and then they built out a dance studio. So there are 3 studios. So it already had the floors and the mirrors and all that stuff. So just getting it together, the painting, getting the truss system put in, the poles. I mean, I literally lost weight. It just took everything out of me. But that was the hardest part, getting everything up and running. And I got everything up and running in less than a month. That is how much
Wow.
work. Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. But we graduated in May, and mid-August, August 17th was when I was finally done. That Monday, I started open pole because the lease said I couldn't start charging until September 1st. So I opened it up for anyone who wanted to come, plus for them to see the place, get excited. And then September 1st, started business. So it happened like that.
Yeah. So obviously every institution, every business has had to adapt to COVID and health restrictions. How have you done during this time? Because I know that's been challenging especially for places based around a physical activity. How have you been able to adapt to that?
Well, my standard was always high even before COVID. I only clean with alcohol, the floors and the poles. That's always been my standard. Our pole rags, to wipe down the poles, there's never been pole sharing of pole rags. So I always had my high standard of sanitation. What I added, I put 2 HEPA air filters in the pole room that runs constantly. And then of course, coming in, everyone has to sanitize their hands. So my standard for cleanliness, it always has been, always will be, except now we wear a mask. But I allow students, because our poles are 8 feet apart, because we're going. If you want to take it off, I'm okay. It's just that when you're passing people, put your mask on. Or if I have to spot someone and they're uncomfortable with me not with the mask off, I'll put a mask on. And I provide cloth and disposable masks. So, whatever you need, I make sure I provide it.
Okay. And so your business has been able to keep going. You haven't had too dramatic a drop off of members?
I'm growing,
Wow.
growing
Which
member.
and I mean
Yeah.
maybe that shows and we could think about why people choose to join this activity, but part of it is community. And so during this time with such isolation, maybe that's one of the reasons people are seeking this out, right?
Now,
Uh,
because not only do we come in for class, we do fun things together as well. You know what I mean? We'll go to other studios, and if they have a special event, we'll get a few cars and go to other studios, and we'll just we do the retreats every summer there's one in September coming up. So the girls will get together and go. So we do things where we bring people in so they have that fellowship, going on.
So earlier we talked about how your studio, you make effort to be open to anyone. It doesn't matter what your gender background is, doesn't matter what body type you are. In terms of who your clients actually are, do you have, was one of the students was wondering, do you have many men who actually take part in the gym, or does it end up, even though you're open to everyone, where it ends up being dominated by women?
It's dominated by women right now. I had a regular male student before the shutdown, before quarantine, and I haven't seen him since. So I have no idea what happened. I reached out and he hasn't reached back. So I really don't know what happened to him. And last week I had a young man come in, but I'm totally open to men. But men, they think pole is, just sexy dancing for an hour. It's like, no, the strength aspect of it, you can totally benefit, so reaching out to men is just a lot harder. Yeah. So it's 99.99999% women.
Yeah. With the women who train, do you see any patterns for, when you're in conversation or when you first meet them, for what they say their motivation is to try it out or to join a gym? Like, what type of stories do you hear?
Yeah, they want confidence. They want their confidence built. They want to build strength, and I have some women who are, full figured, am I too fat to pole? And I tell them, first of all, your foundation has to be strengthened first. We're not going to ask you immediately to climb or go upside down. That's crazy. You have to build your foundation, coordination. You're going to learn different patterns, how to move around the pole. So the big thing is confidence, and you see it. So when they first start, they're like, have a burqa on. You know what I mean? And then as they gain confidence and strength, then, they'll get the cute outfits and, they walk with more of a swag. It says you just see them blossom. And that's the best part. That's the best part. Just seeing them grow and blossom, and just the encouragement of the other students. Like when I'm in another room, we hear, yes, cheering when someone climbs the pole. Literally, it's all they climb the pole. You hear the cheering going on. So like I said, people get drunk on that. And that's our secret sauce.
Okay.
Yeah, that's our secret.
What's the age range of the participants you have at your gym?
So I have a lot in my age range, like in the 50s. So mostly I would have to get an average, like in the mid 30s, but you'd think there'd be a lot of 18, 19-year-olds. No, mostly, career women. I have a lot of psychiatrists, doctors, nurses, teachers. So I get the full gamut of women.
Yeah. But mostly post-college in terms of the age range.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yes. Do you have many people? So earlier we talked about, the potential divide or relationship between people who are doing it more in the strip club or people who are doing it more for exercise and fitness. Do you have a lot of people who still work at clubs or as exotic dancers who are also training at the school? Okay, so there is that real mix between the different communities.
Yeah. Because to get better tips, if you can do tricks, we can teach you those tricks to get better tips. Yeah, because I have my version of what sexy is. For me, sexy is strength, like fluidity around a pole. Because as women, you're already sensual because you're a woman and a woman's body is sensual. Women are already beautiful. So for me, raunch is not necessary, so just my approach to it is just, I want you to, when you move around, I want it to be beautiful movements. The raunch part is, from my opinion, is really not necessary.
Yeah. So whatever goal people have or whatever direction, you just want to have that foundation where the movements are impressive and beautiful, and then you can do what you want with it.
Yeah, it's exactly.
All right. So this is going to be probably a little bit of a harder question or more abstract, but I'm kind of curious. I want to ask this before we run out of time. Pole dancing is clearly getting more popular now. You're seeing the growth of schools like your own. You're seeing the potential for being an Olympic sport, right? And more people are doing it as a hobby. Why do you think it's getting more popular now? And obviously, there's not just like one answer. This is the reason, but I'm curious what you think, because you probably caught it right when it's on its upswing, and you've seen a lot of change since you've gotten involved. So, like, what's going on? Why is this more of an activity that people do?
I think because people are seeing it more, like with the J-Lo movie, for example. And then Cardi B, she started as a stripper, and then people are getting more woke. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And the trying it part. Once people try it, there's a newfound respect. And then, telling other people. But I think seeing it more, the Super Bowl a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
although some women lost their minds, but some people like, oh, okay. So just having it, it's not treated, I don't think, as much as like the redheaded stepchild, the shame that you need to close the door and push off to the side.
Yeah.
So I just wish they showed children doing it. I wish they showed men doing it. Once they do that, they realize, oh, it's just another sport. That's it. Just another
Yeah.
form of gymnastics.
Okay. All right. So final question. What is the number one goal that you have? So not for your business, but in terms of you as part of this community, like looking forward, what do you want to happen?
I want to be successful. Well, first to move out of this space, because right now I'm leasing, right? My
Yeah.
dream is to build my own
Oh yeah,
space.
actually let me separate the question. One, what's your goal for your business? And then what's the goal for you? Let's have two answers. So let's keep those two separate.
All right. So for my business, I want to have my own space that I own. So
Mm.
my studio on one side with two studios, two big, like with 12 poles in each room, and then a training room for privates and non-pole rooms and all that stuff. And right next to it, a theater, so we can have our showcases and things like that. And other dance studios can rent it out. That's the thing. And I want to be successful enough to where I can give to the community. College scholarships and, help the homeless. I just want to be able to pay it forward. And I think this is a cool way to do it. Do something I love, get paid for it, and I can, reach out and help other people. And also, I love to, like, children need to move, right? They're constantly like this on the phone, playing video games. Come in here and go up and do some exercise, get some physical activity in. This is a great place to do it. And if mom and dad comes and see what I'm doing, they'll understand I'm not turning your daughters into strippers.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And if you do it, maybe it's not a bad thing.
Right, exactly.
Also,
Dad jobs so your daughters don't have to do it. So
yeah.
that's my
And also, as you mentioned before, still be doing this when you're 75 and 80. So
Yep. I won't be doing the crazy tricks, but I will be moving around the pole. But I will be doing my handsprings. That I want to be able to do. I'll still be able to do my handsprings. Yes.
all right. Well, I think that's a great way to end the conversation, thinking about optimistic plans for the future. Thank you, as always, for joining. Hopefully, next spring, we can get you back in person to do a demo and open it up to a bunch of classes and all the sociologists and exercise science students to
Cool.
come and see.
And get
But
students involved too. That'll be awesome. They'll get a
yeah,
kick out.
that's always my favorite part is seeing someone get up there and realize you see the look in person's face when they realize just how hard it actually is to do. But no, this was great as always. So we'll talk again soon. But thank you again.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
All right, cool. I'm gonna stop recording.
Okay.